So a couple of weeks ago, I made a video talking about should the Knicks bring back Landry Shamet, and then a report came out that the Knicks are expected to bring back Shamet. Ian Begley also talked about how the Knicks' final vet minimum spot could come down between Ben Simmons and Shamet. Now, me personally, I would go with Shamet. I get that Ben is 6'10", can guard multiple positions, defends, can even play make. But when it's said and done, Simmons didn't do anything at all for the Clippers in the playoffs, of course, in their first round matchup. And the reason for that is he can't space the floor. And he's not aggressive enough going to score. Shamet already proved that he can step in off of the bench when he hadn't even been playing and stay ready and knock down the three and defend and play good on ball defense. And he's not afraid of the moment. More 3-point shooting is never going to be a bad thing for the Knicks, especially considering that they didn't shoot the ball well in the playoffs. If the Knicks had shot the ball well, they would have gone to the finals. I'd even go as far as saying that they would have won the finals. But the Knicks just couldn't shoot. They couldn't knock down their threes, and it cost them. It's as simple as that. There was plenty of opportunities where the Knicks got a good look and they just couldn't knock it down. So that's why having Shamet would go a long way. And because the team did bring in Gershon Yabusele, who was with the Sixers last season, they're not exactly desperate for like a Ben Simmons type of player because they already have that. And I think Ariel Hukporti is going to have a huge role off of the bench as well. At the end of the day, I'm not Mike Brown. I don't know what the starting lineup's going to be. But if it were up to me, I would go with Mitch and then Cat, which would set up a role for Yabusele and Hukporti and Josh Hart off the bench. And then you'd have Deuce. Of course, you'd have Jordan Clarkson. You'd have Landry Shamet. Injuries are going to happen. Guys aren't exactly going to be playing 38 minutes a night anymore like they were with Tibbs. So to me, it's a no-brainer, if I'm being honest. And the thing that frustrates me with Simmons is that originally when the offseason started, he wasn't willing to take vets minimum. If he were, Simmons would have been signed by now. He'd have to go to the Knicks, obviously. But if you're Ben and you can go to a team like the Knicks and they reach out to you and there's interest there, we're talking about competing for a championship. We're talking about a wide open Eastern Conference. I get you want your money, but Ben Simmons has made plenty enough money in his career. Like Jordan Clarkson, for example, took the minimum. Yabusele actually took a little bit of a pay cut so the Knicks could have the opportunity to go out and to add in another key veteran next to him. Ben Simmons didn't do that. And I know a lot of people aren't going to care about this, but I personally do because I cover the Knicks, right? I do this on the side and things like that. And if you guys have ever met your favorite player and they don't sign your autograph, I know they're not entitled to, but they don't take a picture with you and you have their jersey on, it's a slap in the face. It just feels like it to me, man. And there was one of my favorite pages on Twitter, Sleeper Knicks. He wrote this. So he said, "The only thing I'll say is the Philly Simmons days when he was a stud. I got tickets with my boy to a Knicks Sixers game at MSG, saw Ben's dad at our seats and asked him for a picture. He was not nice about it, to say the least, then let other people take pictures right after us. And then after the game, we waited for Ben. He came out but didn't sign anything for us, even though my boy was a Sixers fan and had his jersey on." I get that. I know people are going to complain in the comments, oh, they're people too, this and that. But that's what sports is all about. Like, at the end of the day, the Knicks would be nothing without the fans. And I just find it very hard to believe that a guy like Landry Shamet would ever do that. Like, you have his jersey on. He's 100% taking a picture with you. He's 100% giving you an autograph. And that's exactly part of the reason why I want to bring in Shamet. Not only do I think he probably would help the Knicks win a championship more than Ben Simmons, but he's a likable guy. And from somebody who has spoken to him, he loves New York. He wants to be here. He's waiting for the Knicks to give him that contract, and he would take it in the blink of an eye. He represents everything it is to be a New Yorker, and he just stayed ready. The moment wasn't bright enough for him. And I really want him back. I mean, I made a video weeks ago, again, before this was even a report, saying that the Knicks should bring in Landry Shamet. And I don't think they need to get greedy whatsoever and be like, hey, let's just wait for a bigger name. And if they go somewhere else, let's bring in Shamet. Why not bring him in right now? Shamet should be here. And it's just as simple as that. Of course, we're talking about games 5, and we're talking about game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. And even when you go and you look at game 3, the Knicks made some adjustments. They started to play the bench. They switched up the starting lineup, and they started to see a lot of success. But it was just too late. The damage was already done. But you just can't go wrong with having more and more wings off of your bench. And the Knicks have some very, very good ones to this point. And Yabusele, Josh Hart, if you want to even call him a wing, Shamet, assuming he's back. Bakom Diadier is a guy who is still developing. Hopefully, the Knicks can get something out of him in the future. I don't think he's played particularly well in the summer league, but at the end of the day, he is very, very young, and everyone's going to develop at their own pace. But to me, DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet, they just completely changed the dynamic of the Knicks. This seemed like a team that was dead in the water, and then Tibbs started to trust the bench and go to it. And man, did they not disappoint. I mean, Shamet and Wright every game were positive on the plus and minus, and they just needed more run. And obviously, Wright isn't coming back with the addition of Jordan Clarkson, and the Knicks are trying to get Tyler Kolek to take that next leap. Very similar to like the Rockets are trying to get Reed Shepard to take that next leap, giving him a lot of run in the summer league. And again, Kolek hasn't played well, but these are young players. Kolek is on the older side because he played a lot of college ball. But the point being that you need veterans next to these young guys. Diadier, McCullough, Porty, all these guys like Kolek. I mean, they're gonna be a part of the future, but right now it's important that the Knicks have guys ahead of them that are ready to compete and ready to help the team win. And that's why I think Landry Shamet would be perfect here. And there's an old cliche, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. After what we saw at Shamet last season, even in training camp in the preseason before his injury, the playoffs, so Shamet was very good. And I haven't even mentioned any of his statistical numbers because he definitely plays above that. I mean, he still shot 39.7% from three, 46% from the field. I don't have the exact number of threes he took per game. I think it was 3.1 at the top of my head. I'm remembering back to my notes from a couple of weeks ago. But I just think Landry Shamet, he just reminds me of, he doesn't remind me of like J.R. Smith, but he's just a guy that can come off the bench and get hot and can change a game, who can change a series. And I want him to come back. I truly do, especially if it's for vets at minimum. Again, guys, we're talking about him basically making literally the league's minimum for a veteran player, and then the Knicks would still have that second round exception, which they could give to James Najee or to Mohamed Diawara. I think right now they probably lean towards Diawara just because he's, again, another wing, like lengthy defender. Whereas Najee can just play one position, and definitely needs more work. I mean, they both need more work, but it's just kind of like how McCullough was competing for a two-way. Like last season, a lot of these guys have much more development to do. But there are going to be nights where the Knicks are up big. The East is pretty weak, especially compared to the West. So once the Knicks have a comfortable lead, the second half of the game, they're going to go to these younger guys. But, when they are close competitive games, which the majority of them will be, it's the NBA at the end of the day, that's when you can bring in Shamet off of the bench and sort of just keep legs fresh and things like that. Wouldn't hate it at all if the Knicks play 12 or 13 guys every single night like the OKC Thunder did. Because come playoff time, it's going to give them a huge advantage.